We are here today because of a nasty condition called FSHD, Facioscapulohumeral Muscular Dystrophy. It is almost impossible to say, but it is worse to live with. FSHD is a cruel muscle wasting condition and it affects adults and children. It leads to lifelong disability, often resulting in physical impairment across the whole body. Despite having a long disease span and greater burden than other commonly known conditions such as MS and Parkinson's disease, FSHD is largely unknown and receives limited acknowledgement and support. Currently, there is no effective treatment for FSHD, and there is very limited support for people with FSHD in Australia, and that is why we're here. We are here because we want to find an effective treatment for FSHD and we want to find a cure.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, because we're all important in this room today. I say that because without this wonderful opportunity from our co-chairs that created this some 4 years ago, we wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a voice within these walls. So we wouldn't have a voice without the people living and breathing with this disease sitting here listening to the important words and the most important announcement that FSHD Global has had in some time. So I thank you for coming. And I also thank you for giving us your time. Time is a really important part of life, very valuable. And it's in particularly valuable when you don't have time, when you live with a disorder that is nicknamed a slow death disorder, because over time your muscles deteriorate. So FSHD was established some 18 years ago with a mission against time to find therapies, treatments, and drive an ultimate cure globally for this disorder, so we can all have a better quality with the time we have. To launch today's Cure FSHD registry is a very personal, proud moment of mine. And to give you the gravitas of what today is about, let me take you back in time to when we started with a quick journey. In 2007, my father Bill Moss established a foundation, and as his devoted daughter, I decided to dedicate my life to muscle therapies, muscle regeneration, and global world-class science to understand how we eradicate this disease. And when I started meeting members of the public who carry FSH globally, it became very quickly bigger than Bill, bigger than me, and a lifelong passion. We very quickly were able to rely on private philanthropy, a very difficult role, and to date have raised around $30 million as a foundation, where we had a model and mode of conduct where 100% of those dollars went to drive world-class global medical research therapies. Some 8 years ago, I realized that therapies were coming, and it was a wonderful feeling and a daunting feeling because they were coming in the distant future. Did we have enough time to see it come to fruition? My mind started wondering, while therapies are on the horizon, at what point do you build a registry where people can sign up to be part of those therapies? 8 years ago, for 8 years I've been waiting for this moment to launch that registry. It's been a personal passion, and the foundation on a very lean and mean team hasn't had the opportunity to prioritize that until very recently. I say that because you cannot have a registry of people living with a disorder unless they're diagnosed to go on a registry. So as a foundation, we had to build infrastructure within Australia to bring world-class diagnostic tools and technologies to our nation. We built this registry that's the world's first patient-led registry for this disease. And that's important because we are about people. We're about people helping them enjoy their quality of life with the time they have. So we wanted it to be patient-led, not clinically led. That made a point of difference. We built an ecosystem in Australia where we brought in technology of blood, the innovative technology around the world. Saliva testing was a great inspired moment from COVID. We built a platform where we could use world-class MRI technology to scan your body. And the whole aim of this was to fully characterize an individual so they had power over their body and knowledge on what's going on, to help educate their clinicians. So today I'm so proud to be launching this registry. It's taken us a lot of time and hopefully gives you more time, and hopefully gives Parliament a moment to reflect in time how we can partner together. This is a registry that doesn't only stand up for a disease, it embodies the world, it unites us together. We are now a world-class, globally certified, Treat NMD certified registry. We are able to pull and draw and attract biotechs, pharmaceuticals from all over the world to come to Australia because of this registry, because of the data it holds. So this registry puts power back in your hands. It allows you to understand what's going on, and you're the best teachers and educators for a medical cohort to learn from you. So I'm very proud of this foundation and what today means. And I want to thank you again for giving us our hope together as a community that we can change what time has in store for this disorder. So thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Calvin and I'm a 25-year-old with Facioscapulohumeral Dystrophy, or FSHD. I was diagnosed just over 10 years ago at age 14 when, seemingly overnight, I wasn't able to reach my arm above my head anymore. I went to my GP, who then referred me to a specialist, and at this point my parents thought, look, he's probably dislocated his shoulder, he might have some sort of postural issue that needs correcting with surgery. But the specialist diagnosed me with FSHD effectively on the spot. And my mum, who came to the appointment with me, left with a child who she now knew had a progressive disability that would drastically change his life. The diagnosis was then confirmed with a blood test a year later. My story is pretty unusual because sometimes it takes people many years to work out and finally work out what's wrong with their body. There was no history of the condition in my family, we'd never even heard of it. FSHD came into my life right when I was entering my teenage years. Growing up is tricky as it is. You have to navigate friendships, figure out who you are, deal with a whole bunch of random drama and a whole bunch of other things. If you pile on a progressive disease to that experience, it makes it so much tougher. It became noticeably clearer to the other kids at school that I was different. I stopped swimming at school, slowly became sitting out of sport entirely, and my physique changed. And kids at that age can be pretty brutal and honest. I felt ashamed of my condition and I didn't speak up about it at all. I began to become a lot more closed off and retreat into my shell because of how I looked. And this caused me to struggle with my mental health for years as a result. Since then, the disease has progressed, and I can say at the humble age of 25, I feel a bit like an old man. Mobility is increasingly a challenge. While I used to be a very active kid, being involved in tennis, soccer, taekwondo, skateboarding, athletics, cricket, football, just to name a few, I now struggle to get up a flight of stairs, walk up a hill, or even get out of a chair. I have to deal with this continuous feeling of loss, continually grieving the things I thought I'd be able to do my entire life. There's also the overwhelming tiredness, and this is something for people without FSHD. It's hard to grasp just how draining even the most basic tasks can be. From seemingly doing nothing but completely exhausted. But for me, I've tried to take something positive out of this whole reality of life with FSHD. I found an incredible community of people living with this disease who can understand completely what I'm going through. I started a YouTube channel that has documented my journey, and I've reconnected with my childhood love of tennis. I always wanted to become a professional tennis player when I was a kid, so I finally gave wheelchair tennis a go just over a year ago and picked it up relatively quickly. I'm now ranked 63 in the world and aspire to play a Grand Slam. Very kind, thanks. And this is the biggest thing in my life right now. And even though I've been able to adapt and find a sport that I love, there's no guarantee I'll be able to play it for years to come. And that's the unfortunate reality of living with FSHD. I'm only in my 20s, but already I'm anxious for treatments and a cure. It gives me comfort knowing that the clinical trials are on their way, and I'm now clinical trial ready. I have my clinical trial passport thanks to FSHD Global, who gave me the opportunity to have a full body MRI scan and genetic testing. This means that when the trials do arrive in Australia, I'll be ready. With Cure FSHD, myself and the wider FSHD community now have hope that treatments are on the horizon. Being clinical trial ready gives me hope that one day life could get better. It really is a race against time. I do my best to try not to freak out about my future with this disease, but sometimes it is hard to stay positive. I have adapted to my life, but I really wish I didn't have to. Thank you.
So I just wanted to, Natalie gave a really nice overview of the journey of the foundation. And this is really a pivotal moment for us because about 3 years ago, we transitioned from being a medical research funding body to becoming Australia's peak body for FSHD. Now, we haven't done this alone. We've done this with a lot of partner organisations, our fellow advocates that are in the room. We have representatives from each state's muscular dystrophy associations, and they provide such essential support to our community to navigate this awful disease in the states. But it's time for more than that. We want more than social support. We want treatments and we want a cure. We have a saying in our little organisation that time is muscle. It's time for clinical trials. We have Australia's first clinical trial recruiting now. We have 2 more trials confirmed to start in Australia this year for disease-modifying therapies. And if now's not a time for a humble brag, I'm not sure where it is, but I can be really clear that this would not have happened if it hadn't been for FSHD Global's tireless global advocacy and building infrastructure like the Cure FSHD registry that we're launching today. But it's time for more than that again. It's time for our patient community to have a true voice. And the importance of forums like today, where we can speak to our government representatives and let them know that there is this really urgent need in our FSHD community for a better quality of life. That it's not the benign, understated disease that we often hear described, and that it affects every aspect of every day of our life. So we feel our small organisation, we only have 2.6 staff, we feel that it's our job to give you a voice. And I'd just like to thank Calvin for being so courageous in sharing his story today, because it's not about us, this is about you. This is about all of us in this room, because every single person here has a role to play. And don't fear, I will be coming to you over the next 12 months and asking you to play your role. And I'm going to mention this twice in my talk because it's really important. The role we really need the Australian government to play is to support our application for peak body funding. We've laid the critical foundations for this infrastructure. What we need help with now is getting to the people. And there are many Calvins out there, there are many Zaharas out there. and they are all just as in need and just as deserving. And people who are in remote and regional communities without infrastructure like Cure FSHD and without our in-home testing, they don't have access to, and they don't feel the same hope that we feel because they're not connected. So that is my big ask of government here, and I encourage everyone in this room to speak up for us and on behalf of us and really help us get that over the line, because it's a drop in the ocean for the Australian government, but it will be life-changing for everyone in this room and everyone that we represent. But I'm now going to proudly launch
Cure FSHD,
an innovative data hub specifically for adults and children living with Facioscapulohumeral Muscular Dystrophy, co-designed and trialled by FSHD patients. The app securely stores patient data in one place. Beyond an e-health record, it's your personal health assistant. Track symptoms, monitor progress, and easily share information with your treating health professionals. The Cure FSHD app helps patients organise their health data and empowers patients to have autonomy over their journey with FSHD. It stores essential data for trial participation, including genetic information, saliva test results, and full-body Springbok MRI scans. Patients can even request the saliva test and Springbok scans directly through the app. We understand FSHD affects more than just muscles. That's why we capture your comprehensive survey responses on quality of life, well-being, and mental health. Get clinical trial ready with ease. As you input data, your passport gets stamped, making it simple to register for trials or research studies. When you join Cure FSHD, you also join the Global Patient Registry Network under Treat NMD, helping us to fast-track therapies and power research. The Cure FSHD app is the ultimate companion for managing life with FSHD.
As impressive as that looks, that is phase 1 of this app. We have Eddie from WeGuide here today, who is the powerhouse company behind all of our bright ideas, and I will say anything I put in front of WeGuide during this development, they accommodated. As we discussed the need with patients and we co-designed this, we found we really needed to incorporate quality of life data. As we spoke to pharmaceutical companies and they told us it's all well and good to have a scientifically proven and safe therapy, you need to have this kind of data to help you get access to patients. And that's been what has built this out to where it is now. But beyond that, we will be able to integrate it with wearable technology. We're looking to push the boundaries with clinical trials to be able to run decentralised trials so that people in rural and remote communities don't miss out. And this infrastructure is going to really pave the path to allow that to happen. We can actually run clinical trials through the app and do all of the post-market evaluation through this technology. And the philosophy behind our foundation is that we do a lot with a little, and we're not just interested in the FSHD community. This technology is something we're making available to any rare disease, to any muscular dystrophy, and through our partnership with WeGuide, we're doing that at an unbelievably affordable price. And it's less than 1/10 of the cost that similar registries have been developed for overseas. So I would just like to thank WeGuide for coming on board and supporting us in this way. So thank you for all sharing our excitement. There's still a lot more work to do. The Springbok scans that we've introduced, we've brought that technology to the country. It's a full body heat map of your muscle disease progression. It shows fat infiltration in the muscle, shows a never before seen level of detail to make this invisible disease more visible. And it's allowed patients to access NDIS funding. Mike has helped us advocate for patients that have had a lot of trouble accessing the NDIS with FSHD, this type of technology puts it in the patient's fingertips, so they've always got access to all of their disease data. We had one family tell us before that they literally carry a binder around to show treating professionals their disease information. So having it readily available in an app just makes things so much simpler. We also spoke about the concept of the clinical trial passport. I just wanted to share a brief video describing that clinical trial passport so that you all know what the functionality of the app is and the impact to our patients.
FSHD is a progressive muscle wasting disorder. As time passes by, you slowly lose the ability to do simple functions in your daily routine that you would take for granted. And ultimately, you end up not being able to use actively most of your muscles and severely restricting the quality of life.
So I was diagnosed with FSHD in my 20s. Certainly for the first few years after diagnosis, I probably went into a bit of denial. And with me, it's very slow progressive. You just sort of notice differences sort of every couple of years. In the last 2 years, I've really noticed another decline, another drop, where I'm just not able to do the sorts of things that I normally used to do. It's really started to affect me now in other ways. And I am starting to look at where my future may be.
So I'm one of 9 children. Of the 9 children, there's 5 of us that have the condition. FSHD has shaped my life in so many areas, from seeing my siblings go through their journey and my own personal battle with the condition. FSHD is so isolating, and although I have a lot of things going well in my life, there's many times also that I'm at home feeling very alone still.
Facioscapulohumeral Dystrophy, or FSHD, is a disease for which there is no treatments and no cure. This is about to change. Thanks to the work of FSHD Global Research Foundation, clinical trials are coming to Australia. A lot of our FSHD community don't have any documentation to support the diagnosis, or they've never been genetically confirmed as having FSHD. You have some people that are mildly affected or may have no symptoms, right through to our most severe early onset patients where muscle destruction can start from under the age of 10 years old. Now that we are getting ready for clinical trials in Australia, having that genetic confirmation and having all of the tests required becomes really important, not just to be able to take part in the trial, but also to be eligible for future approved therapies once they are available in Australia. We've created a new concept called the Clinical Trial Passport. So we have the traditional blood testing, we have a simple in-home saliva test, we also have this exciting new muscle measurement technology through Springbok Analytics. So patients can access a full body MRI scan that is sponsored by the foundation, and that allows a patient to have access to all of their disease information that will be needed to be considered eligible to participate in a clinical trial in this country.
Isn't it amazing that we can now use world-class technology to look inside the body for a person's digital twin? The knowledge that we as a global field are receiving from these Springbok scans is phenomenal.
Now we're at a stage where we can look at disease progression modelling. That's life-changing for people.
I'm going to use the scan with my exercise physiologist to get some therapies more specific around what is going on with my muscles, even through NDIS and getting equipment to help me on a daily basis so we can make the most out of the body that I got.
It was just such an easy and seamless process. I've done the blood test, I've done the saliva test. Yes, I've had the Springbok analysis scan. And to already have that documentation, I feel like I'm already years ahead of the game.
I established FSHD Global Research Foundation in 2007 with one aim, and that was to bring clinical trials and hope to sufferers of FSHD globally. I'd like to think we played a major catalytic role in doing this. And today, we're closer than ever to starting the journey into clinical trials.
These clinical trial passports are expensive. Having these scans done is just out of reach for many of our patients. Every single person that we can fund a clinical trial passport for, we give a fighting chance to beat this disease and have hope for a future without FSHD.
I never thought in my lifetime we would see any sort of therapies or anything of substance, I guess. And that has been hugely because of FSH Global Research and the Foundation.
It's just incredible to know that at 46 years of age, I actually might be one step closer to being part of a trial that may actually find a cure. Where would we all be without the foundation? They made it all happen for us here in Australia. I just want to go and give them all a big hug and just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, we're so grateful.
So I think you'd all agree we're doing something pretty special here today. I'm so proud. And I just want to thank everyone who's lied in the MRI machine, given us their scans, given us their data, given us their input, helped us fund this, because it's going to make a real difference. I'm not fit for this job at times. But just truly thank you, because we can't do it without you. Tough act to follow, Bridget and Mike, but I'd now like to give my sincere thanks to our co-chairs, Dr. Mark Freelander and Bridget Archer, and invite them to say a few words, and I'm hoping to confirm that pre-election commitment to FSHD at some stage. One final plug though, please do everything you can, and every patient here today, you have homework. There's a million flyers with a QR code. Sign up and join Cure FSHD, because you all have a role to play and we're all in this together. Welcome, Bridget and Mike.
Well, thank you. It's a real pleasure to be here. I still feel like a little bit of a ring-in to this role. Mike has been here from the beginning, and I have subbed in to take over this role for my very good friend Fiona Martin, initially as a favour to her, because I know how much that FSHD meant to her in her time in this place, and so I thought it was a reasonable thing to take that on for her. I still feel that way, Fiona, but as I have come to know this community, and Nat and Emma and the patients that we've heard from over the past few years, I've developed my own passion in this area too. And it's so exciting to be here today, and I'm a renowned crier from way back, Emma, so you're in very good company. It is a very emotional time, I think, to see what you have achieved in such a short time as well. And Mike and I have the privilege of getting to talk to all sorts of people with lots of very complex challenges, and as we were saying earlier, there's a lot of asks and demands, of course, right across particularly the sort of health space. But I feel so excited when I come and listen to what FSHD Global has been doing and is able to do, because they've been so proactive as well in this space, looking at what the problems are that lie ahead, but not waiting for someone else to do something, step by step, stepping in and and undertaking that work that needs to be done to build for the future. And you know, Calvin, I hope is so important, but I have a saying too, that hope is not a strategy, and what FSHD Global has done is added the strategy to the hope as well. So I'm very pleased to be here today and to hear and share in the achievements that you have today. Unfortunately, it's a little bit above my pay grade to make you a pre-election commitment. I would if I could, but we'll keep working on that one. And I'm certain Mike will say something similar in that regard. But congratulations to all of you for the work that you have done so far. You should feel very proud of what you've achieved, and we're certainly very, very proud to be associated with you.
Thanks so much, Bridget, who's been a great co-chair, and I acknowledge her. I'd like to acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues. I can see Graham Perrott up the back, and I know Jenny Ware, member for Hughes, was here, and Andrew Bragg and Maria Chavik, senators, were here, and a couple of others have come and gone. So I acknowledge my parliamentary colleagues. But you're quite right, Emma, it's a very hard act to follow. I admire you so much, and Natalie as well. The work that you have done, both of you, have been remarkable, as has the work of Fiona Martin, who, as the member for Reid, and we started this Parliamentary Friends group in 2021, I think, and you've really made a big difference to the voice of people with FSHD in this Parliament. We want to help you. We want our government to make a difference to the FSHD community. We have delivered your pre-budget submission to the Minister. I will be meeting with him tomorrow, and I promise you I will be once again. I can't quite see the colour of that. Red. Can't quite see the colour of that, but it's good I can stay, because I just want to tell you all that I'm an old doctor. I've been around for a long time. I started in healthcare as a doctor over 50 years ago, a long time ago. I'm from the days, if you like, of leeches and all the treatments that didn't work. But what we've seen in the last 10 years has been remarkable. And I'm now seeing disorders that, as a paediatrician, I would say to families, I'm sorry, there's nothing that's going to make a substantive difference. Take your child home and enjoy the last few months or years that you have with them. We are now seeing many of those disorders treatable and indeed curable. There's a muscular disorder called spinal muscular atrophy, which at diagnosis, most kids with the most severe form of the disease would be dead within 2 years. One of the last patients I looked after before I came into Parliament had that disease. She was a little girl called Molly, and she died my second year in Parliament. That disease is now curable with a viral vector genetic treatment. Things are moving very, very quickly. In cystic fibrosis, we have disease modulators, which are again genetically targeted, that are tripling life expectancy to we think, normal life expectancy. We are seeing remarkable things happening, and your advocacy in this Parliament will make a difference to FSHD, and I am sure we will have a treatment within the not too distant future. I know the need is urgent, and I know that your ask is modest and evidence-based, and so I will certainly be taking this to the Health Minister again tomorrow. I'd like to thank you all for coming. It is making a difference, and we, as a Parliament, care about you, and that's on all sides of the Parliament. We have Bridget, who is a member of the opposition. I'm a member of the government, but we know that we've had many parliamentarians coming and going. I know my colleague Monique Ryan, a paediatric neurologist, the member for Kooyong, is very interested in supporting it. So what you are doing is important. We give you our guarantee that we will do what we can to make sure your needs are heard and are supported. I congratulate you all, and the work that you've done is just so professional, so neat and succinct and important. I can't stress to you how much it affects us all, and we will do what we can to support you. And I really thank you all for being here today, and I hope that you feel that your message is important to us, because it is, and we'll be around for a little while afterwards. Any questions you'd like to ask, please do so. But once again, congratulations to the FSHD committee and all of you for such a professional and important presentation, and it's been a great pleasure for me and a great privilege to be here and hear some of your very important stories, and Calvin in particular. It was very moving, and I thank you for giving us your story, which is imprinted upon my mind. So thank you so much. Thanks once again.
So thank you all very much for coming today, for lending your voice in whatever capacity you're lending it. Thank you very much to our parliamentary co-chairs. I know that you'll do all you can, and look, thank you for getting the message out there. I also would be remiss if I didn't thank representatives from Medicines Australia, Genetic Alliance, WeGuide and Springbok, who are here, as well as some of our donors, supporters, and Rare Voices Australia. I also just want to acknowledge that everything that we're doing here is part of a bigger framework. Rare Voices Australia created a national strategic action plan for rare disease, and we're delivering against multiple pillars within that plan. And having that framework to work within is what has helped us structure our strategy. So I would just also really like to thank Rare Voices Australia for their leadership and guidance in the rare sector, and for helping make this happen. But the time is now. Use your voices, take some photos, share them on social media, and make sure that everyone knows that you're here today, and that this message really matters. Please eat some delicious food and enjoy some networking time before it's time to leave. Thank you all so much for coming.